Welcome everybody to Marine AFC. This very special football club was founded back in 1894 when a group of local friends and businessmen got together at the Marine Hotel, which isn't too far away down by the River Mersey. Fast forward a few years, it is now a football club that is treasured by its local community, and we're here to find out more about how you run a successful club in the NLS.
Yeah, it is a club steeped in history that goes way back, and they've had some fantastic success on the pitch as well, with great runs in the FA Cup. You may remember when Jose Mourinho brought his Spurs side here in the third round.
So the club is winning on the pitch, it's winning off of it as well. It has picked up several awards for its work within the community. It's all about building a sustainable football club for the future. So without further ado, let's go and have a look around. Well, first things first, we have come to the boardroom, which during the week it serves as a classroom as well, to come and meet Paul and Beckie. Thank you both so much for hosting us today. It's a real pleasure to be here. First things first, tell us a bit about yourselves and the roles that you serve here at the football club. We'll go to the chairman first.
I'm the very proud chairman of Marine Football Club. I've been chairman now for 19 seasons, and I joined the Marine Management Committee as a young qualified accountant in 1978. So I've just been given an award for 45 years service as a volunteer.
Incredible. Beckie, how about yourself?
So my role is fan engagement officer, so I look after everything on a match day. So it can be from selling the tickets online, I work in the ticket office on a match day selling them, for away travel, selling season tickets online, everything that you'd put into fan engagement is basically my role, yeah.
And before we started recording, you told us about your story of getting involved in the game, which is pretty much, I think, every non-league volunteer's story. Yeah. So share it with us.
So I also, before I actually started as fan engagement officer, I was, and I still am a little bit, I'm also one of the club treasurers as well. So yeah, so I do that, but mainly now I look after everything to do with fan engagement.
Paul, obviously, congratulations, 45 years service. What is it about this football club that's made you stick around for that long?
I think Marine Football Club is so special to so many people. I think the history, if you look at the President's Board on my right, you know, the amount of years service and the people, you know, they've given their adult lives to Marine. We're a very special club. Since the Tottenham game, we're so much more special. We are a growing business, we're a growing football club. We have an increasing fan base. Our number of fans watching our games has gone up fourfold since pre-COVID, post-Tottenham. But more importantly, you know, as a football club now, it's the expansion in the community activities led by Graeme Gardener. So the whole number of factors that has resulted in massive change at Marine Football Club. So my job as chairman with my people and my committee on the board is how you deal with that change and how you manage it. And really it's in giving people a share of responsibility, let them be involved and appreciate their involvement.
Beckie, we've come here today because we're trying to help support clubs across the NLS, which is a really important part of the football pyramid. It comes with lots of challenges as well. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you face?
I suppose for us, pre-COVID, it was getting fans into the ground. Our attendances have risen dramatically since COVID. But it's getting people to buy into the community, so and to come regularly. So it's not just come to the game, it's come before the game, get involved in our activities. You know, community is a massive thing now, and just getting everybody involved and driving that community aspect as well.
There's so much to go at with this football club, it's hard to know where to start. But in your last answer, Paul, you mentioned obviously about business, and this through the lens that we're looking at the National League system clubs is, what is it about football and business away from the match day that clubs really need to consider that you're doing now, that you could give a bit of insight for other clubs to take away from this conversation?
I think it's the basics. I think it's looking after your finances, spending what you can afford, but try and encourage new sponsors, more fans encourages more sponsors, more volunteers and community groups, and really it's a circle and it's a domino effect. You know, the more people you have involved in your football club, for all of the different sections, coming together just makes it work.
You mentioned a domino effect there, and that kind of links nicely to talking about sustainability. And I wonder what both your thoughts are really, because you're talking about the present and focusing obviously on match days. It's quite easy to do that, but when you're running a non-league club, you do always have to have like one eye on the future. So how do you approach being a sustainable football club here?
I think these days you have to always look forward as a business, and especially so as a football club. The most important thing is to forward plan your finances and your operations in terms of income and spend and profitability. And so what we have at Marine, we have a rolling 5-year plan, and that involves the officials of the club. So myself as chairman, the treasurers, the CEO, James, my son, and one or two others on the board. So they are all actively involved in putting this rolling plan together to make sure that we stay on track.
What I really like as well is that you've referred to the football club as a business, which I think is quite important, because sometimes people frown away from that. But if you're not thinking like a business, you're probably going to fail somewhere across the line. And there's no harm in volunteers and people across the NLS treating their football club like a business, is there?
Yeah, I think you've got to get a bit of both. So we're very lucky. We have a really good base of volunteers that come, you know, and help around the ground during the week, but also on match days, which is massive. But also you do need your business model to keep it sustainable during like the rest of the week and going forward.
We're sat in a room now, which obviously you called the boardroom, but it's also a classroom.
It is, yes.
So just tell us how that's come about and how you sort of blending the tradition and the history of the football club with the direction of travel it's going in.
Yep. I think, what you have to do as a football club, we have a fantastic community asset here. We've invested heavily in the last 10, 15 years into the facilities. So the facilities, you know, are an asset to the community. So we've got lots, and with Graeme Gardener, our community director, we have lots of different community activities that use the facilities, and that can be the function rooms, it can be the pitch, it can be the boardroom, it can be the bars. So really, you know, using the boardroom as a classroom and doubling up and renting it out as an office as well. Again, it's, to use the expression, you're sweating the asset. But not for the purpose of profit, but for the purpose of community moving forward.
What I really like as well is that we've visited today and there's not too much even going on the pitch, yet there is such a hive of activity. There's a real buzz around the football club. Beckie, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned the volunteer workforce as well, and for a lot of clubs, I think one of the challenges is finding people, finding good people to get involved. How have you built the team behind the team here?
So with our volunteers, I think it just grew from like, again, pre-COVID, so they'd always come. So after a game, like on a Wednesday morning, they'll come, they'll tidy round. Before a Saturday home game, they'll do the same. And it's just grew, so it's just word of mouth and people wanting to get involved. And then, through word of mouth, and then obviously bigger gates, get more people involved. And then on match days, that is something I also look after the volunteers. And bigger gates does get more people through, like I say, and they just want to get involved and be part of it.
It's interesting you say word of mouth, because what I'm assuming is those volunteers come through the door, you make them feel part of the family, you make them feel part of the home here, and then that's what then gets them to say to their friend, come along, it's a feel-good experience.
Definitely at Marine, we're very much a family club. We make everybody feel welcome as soon as they walk through the door. You know, we speak to everybody. Paul's very much like hands-on. He'll speak to everyone that does walk through the door. And I think that's what everybody always says. It's such a family-friendly club. Everybody knows everybody and everyone's just treated the same.
I think as an example this morning, we've had our litter pick group. The litter pick group, 6-7 people around the stadium, making sure it's nice and tidy. And of course, at the end of it, we're all volunteers. We have a nice cup of coffee and cup of tea, and we have a good football chat. And I think I said before, the important thing is to appreciate the volunteers and recognise them and to say thank you.
Yeah, it's priceless. Taking that time
Priceless.
to have that conversation and the cost of that tea bag will keep a volunteer with you for such a long time.
Without them, a football club sometimes doesn't exist.
Absolutely, yeah.
Challenging the last question. Obviously, we're looking at how clubs can diversify themselves to be more sustainable, be more relevant to their community in the future. And we've got a lot of legacy here on the pitch. Obviously, the FA Cup with Spurs going obviously right back to the other fixtures and stuff you've had. And you're building a legacy off the pitch with everything that I've just spoke about. What does that look like both on and off the pitch in the next 5 to 10 years? What does the future look like?
At the moment, we're on a journey as a football club, and in terms of our projects with the community groups, the journey has been so exciting the last 3 years post-COVID. We've got a great history of success as a football club, and up to 3 years ago, we had never been relegated. We got relegated in 2019, and if you like, before COVID, it was a bit of a kick up the backside. So, of course, when this happens for the first time, you know, you have a think about how you do things and how you should change, how you should adapt to the future, and how you should more recognise people and what you need as a football club. So we went through that exercise, and you know, this journey that we've been on now for 3 years. We've been to the first round of the FA Cup twice, third round of the FA Cup once. We've been promoted, all in the last 3 years. Our fan base average crowd pre-COVID 350. Our average gate this year is 1400. Season ticket holders pre-COVID 155. This year 650. So these are amazing stats, and you know, we're on this journey. Yep. We don't know where the journey is going to stop. But we will do our best as volunteers with Graeme and his helpers and the board to take the journey as far as we can.
It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes like that relegation or perhaps that moment gives you an opportunity to reset, and the journey that you're on is incredible, and we really thank you for letting us come and learn some really useful tips from you. We've heard the name Graeme mentioned a lot, the community director, so let's head over now and speak to Graeme at a very, very packed community cafe. Graeme, thank you for having us today. First things first, explain a little bit about what's going on behind us.
Well, this is our community cafe, probably best in, I think, in Sefton and Liverpool. We started with 20, and then after COVID, I think there was a real demand for it, and I think people just like a good thing. And we've got great volunteers, great people, and it's just grown. And each week we're getting new people, new members, come along, join us. And it's just great. It's
such a lovely, warm family feel to the football club. We've felt that as soon as we've walked into the doors. I want to ask you though about Marine in the community and how and where it all started. Can you take us back to the beginning?
Yeah, it's too right. They were looking to set Marine in the community up. I used to be head of PE sports at Birchwood High School, and then I'd finished, and I was looking for something to do. Yep. And they said we want to start a community programme at Marine. So that was back in 2019. So we started out with a blank piece of paper, and just slowly but surely it's grown. We start off with certain activities and certain things, coaching in schools, programs like walking groups and walking football and different things. And then COVID come along, and everything just went on hold. But then through COVID, we stepped up to the plate, and we started delivering lunches. And we ended up doing 7,000 free lunches throughout COVID. But not only that, we've done things like digital training, we've done Zoom classes, we've done quizzes and exercises at home, all online. But also, more importantly, it was that knock on the door and meeting people. And I think we raised our profile of what we were doing. When many charities were closing down, we were actually growing and getting busier, and it was a real need. After COVID, everybody come out and they wanted to get involved. From 5 years of age to 95 years of age. People have come along from young to old to get involved in our activities. The cafe has gone from 20 to 100. Our groups, our coaching groups have doubled and trebled in the numbers that we're getting. And also our activities such as Zumba, yoga, Pilates. But more importantly, that connection, people connecting again with people. And that's what we are providing. We're providing an opportunity for making friends, we're an opportunity for exercise, health, well-being. And we talk very much about mental health. and people, we all need people, and this is a part of it.
Community is so clearly the foundation here, but what I love about your explanation there is it started off as football, coaching courses and so on, but now the football club is reaching out into areas of the community that you wouldn't perhaps call the most traditional, and it must be opening up so many opportunities from a funding perspective to reimburse and invest in the facilities. How much buy-in did you get from the board here originally? Because sometimes, particularly for NLS clubs, the main focus, the star on top of the tree, I suppose, is the first team football. But actually, to have the foundations underneath it, things like this are absolutely essential.
I think the club, realised that community is an important part. Community has always been an important part for Marine. What we've done now is gone that extra step. We've really sort of embraced it, and by bringing someone like myself in, taking on coaches, bringing in people to help getting great volunteers, has grown the whole thing. And I think in anything, if you do something good, people come back. People vote with their feet. If you've got great coaches and good coaching, children will come along. If you've got a really lovely atmosphere and really great people who help make that happen, people come along because they like it. And that's what we do. We don't cheat on people. We give things, I think, good quality food, good quality entertainment, great coaching, and a really nice, happy atmosphere.
How much does all of this, the community side, the football side, link into making Marine AFC a sustainable football club?
I think there's no doubt that the crowds have gone up, the interest in the club has gone up. Image and reputation is everything. The likes of Nike, Adidas, those clubs, they thrive on good reputation. I go to local shops, I go to the hospital, I go to people. You mentioned Marine, and people say, "What a fantastic club." People talk about the club in the area now, about the good work that's going on. The knock-on effect is we've got Sefton Council, Sefton CVS, who just give us £25,000 to build a new hub. We've got different sponsors coming in to get involved with us. We've got different funding streams that are all working with us now to help us grow the club even better, because you can see the positivity that's happening. So that attracts money, that attracts that we can improve our facilities, that attracts that we can make things even better. And there is a real synergy by having this that helps develop what goes on the pitch.
It seems like it's elevated the whole football club, but for those watching that haven't got a thriving community arm like you have, you mentioned that blank piece of paper. So what piece of advice would you give to someone that's like, I want a slice of this, I want to build something like this? How do they start?
I think you got a passion. You got a passion. I love teaching. I love what we've done. I love that we made a difference. And I think that coming along to this was a real chance to do something that made an impact. So to me, I think that I met a really good friend, Colin Mitchell, who was really helped me get to know the people in Crosby better, because I'm from Liverpool, just down the road. And I think that you've got to really, look at all the different things that you can do. You've got to roll your sleeves up, and and I think it's passion.
Yeah.
If you look at it just as a quick ticket to making some money, if you look at it just to grants or funding, it won't work. It's got to be this. It's got to be what people like.
And besides the passion, any sort of one practical tip or resource that you have found really useful to helping you grow the community?
Yeah. I think the FA Club programme, we worked with Steve Hobson, and he's been massive for us in helping guide us along the way. So I think without that support from the FA Club programme, with the likes of Steve Hobson, and I know there's other Steve Hobsons out there that do that, but there's not many Steve Hobsons. But no, that's been really, really instrumental in our developments and giving us that guide and support along the way.
Well, it's been wonderful to hear from you, but I'm really conscious that we need to turn the music back up so everyone can enjoy the rest of their Friday. But thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
So the beauty of football and the beauty of this podcast is you never know who you're going to meet, and we're now joined by a legend, Dave Fairclough, here at Marine FC. Dave, you're on the board of trustees, I believe.
I am.
Just tell us how you got involved and why Marine FC.
Well, I was doing some work with another charity, and we were introducing what we do to Marine Football Club a few years ago. We met Graeme, and Graeme's enthusiasm sort of is unbounding, and he sort of ended up saying, well, you wouldn't fancy doing something for us, would you, at Marine? I do have problems saying no, so I said, okay, yeah, pop along and see what I can do, and if there's any way I can help. And before I knew where I was, I'm here on a regular basis and now trustee of the Marine and the Community Trust. So yeah, it's been great fun. It's great to see, obviously, the development that's going on here at Marine, all the things that they are looking to do. It's getting bigger and bigger, and it's good fun.
The role of a trustee isn't just having them conversations away from the pitch about where the club can go, but also getting hands-on. Tell us a little bit about COVID and what you got involved in here.
Well, during COVID, obviously, you know, the restricted movement and a lot of older people in the area were, you know, pretty much, if they weren't confined to base, they stayed behind closed doors. And Graeme came up with the idea of providing lunches for the community. So we got together as a little bit of a group. We put these lunch packages together, and then we went around the area, delivering them, having a chat on the doorstep, having some pictures taken. And as much as it was good for them, it was a little bit of social for us as well, you know, because we weren't sort of seeing our usual friends and things. So we became great friends with an awful lot of people, and you know, and that's only grown in down the last few years.
Yeah, and then people, obviously, we saw some of them earlier. They're actually here at the club, enjoying the activities that aren't just about the match day on a Saturday. Because as a trustee, what type of conversations and stuff are you having about between them match days, them things that need to take place?
Oh gosh, we're talking about all kinds of different things, you know, health pops up, and you know, the things that are going on at the football club here, the local football scene as well. Talk about Liverpool and Everton, talk about golf, talk about all kinds of different things. And down those 3 or 4 years, you know, I meet these people out and about now in the local cafe, maybe down at the golf club, and they're friends now, and thankfully they're always glad to see us, and vice versa.
And I believe you sit on the Liverpool Crime Committee, is that correct?
I'm on the board of the Merseyside Crime Stoppers Board, which was how initially I met with Graeme here at Marine. We're doing obviously lots of things with that charity. Yeah. And one of the initiatives that we created was something we've called four clubs, one goal. So Marine have joined partnership with Tranmere, Liverpool and Everton. Oh, great company for them to be in. Yeah. Great initiative. You know, this is a good area of Merseyside, but it doesn't get maybe the publicity that, you know, that is attached to Liverpool and Everton. So for them to be in the company of Liverpool and Everton in something like, you know, such a huge initiative, yeah, I think has been great for Marine. They've enjoyed it, brought a little bit of notoriety to Marine, and we're doing great things.
Fantastic. A lot of clubs within the National League system are often looking for well-experienced people to come and be a trustee or sit on the board or committee. What advice would you give to any club out there looking to recruit someone like yourself or of your ilk to come and join? What is it that they'd need to say or do to get them involved?
Find somebody who has problems saying no. But I think if you have that enthusiasm to be involved in a local community, and I live not so far away from here, so Marine has always been a feature of local football life. So it was nice to sort of see what they were doing, and obviously the successes that they were beginning to build. I thought, yeah, it wouldn't be a bad thing to be a part of, and with the enthusiasm of the other the other helpers, let's say, it's been a nice environment to get involved in. So if you create a nice environment, people want to be around you, and you're doing good things, then it's something that you can get a great lot of fun out of.
What a great note to finish on. Dave, thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you.
Well, if you've ever watched an episode of In the Box or some of our Extra Time episodes, the man to my left-hand side will be no stranger to you. It is our FA Club consultant, Steve Hobson. Steve, thanks for joining us again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Picked your brains before many, many times. But firstly, I want to ask you a little bit about your involvement here at Marine AFC.
Yeah, I've been involved in Marine for probably about 4 years now. I'm a Northern Premier League director, and Marine are one of our clubs. And the board asked me if I'd come and give them some guidance and some support regarding building their capacity.
And over the years, that capacity has got absolutely incredible, hasn't it? Talk to us about the journey and where you've found that they've needed your support the most.
We're big friends. My club, Ashton United, are big friends with Marine, and they saw what we were doing down at Ashton in terms of engaging with the community and building that off-pitch business, if you will. And they said they would like to learn from that. So I came along and guided them along that route.
With the FA Club programme, for those that aren't aware, we have some key themes, don't we, to try and help clubs be more sustainable. It seems here at Marine, each of those has been really important to getting them in the really healthy position they are on the pitch and off it as well.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part, I think, is to actually sell the vision to the board of directors. I mean, traditionally there are older people who are setting the ways regarding football, but by being able to provide examples of other clubs who have learned to generate a stronger business as a result of these different elements, the whole business ethos started to change, and we see what you've got today because they embraced it fully.
We're doing this series with a lens on the NLS because it is such an important part of the football pyramid, but it's also quite niche with its own challenges, its own opportunities. Give me your perspective, because you're so heavily involved in it, about why NLS clubs need to try and have that one eye on the future as much as taking on those challenges that are daily.
NLS clubs are at the heart of their community. I mean, to a certain degree, EFL clubs and Premier League clubs have big community programmes, but that's more on a macro level. With NLS clubs, it's more of a micro level, so you can probably say within 2 miles of that particular club, the catchment there is their fan base, is their community base, and if they want to grow, they need to embrace that community.
What do you think are the biggest challenges for NLS clubs at the moment?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Because there's a lot, isn't there? It takes a lot.
I think the key is finding that individual that's the spark within a club. You need a champion, somebody that's going to really embrace what these new ways of working, get a grip of it, and be that beacon of light, if you can, within the community.
That links really nicely back to an answer that Graeme gave about how important passion is, and passion we obviously associate so much with football. But coming back to sort of practical, helpful tips to help those watching who volunteer within an NLS club, where do you find like your most useful resources?
Networking. I don't think you can get enough of networking. If you want a slice of the cake, you've got to be sat at the table. I'll use that a lot. And sometimes I'll go to meetings and it's death by meeting. You'll be there for 2 hours and think, my goodness, what am I doing here? And then suddenly, at the end of the meeting, somebody will come up to you. You're from such and such a club, aren't you? I've got some funding available to do this, that and the other. So you've really got to put yourself out there. The marketing, the communication, selling the sizzle of your football club is critical.
I love that, selling the sizzle. That's a fantastic piece of advice. But we often talk about success and things that go right. I wonder from your perspective, working with Marine, if you could tell us a little bit about perhaps not even a mistake or something that in hindsight you would tell yourself not to do, or help another club navigate something that you've learnt from your time here. Because I don't like to use the word failure, but sometimes again as clubs we could really help each other out a little bit by sharing experiences that haven't gone as well.
It's hard to pinpoint that because every single club is different. I don't see anything as a failure. Graeme and I have worked together and we've written grant applications, and some of those applications have failed, but they're never wasted because it's the research you've done into a grant application can be used for another grant application. So we're constantly learning. you never stop learning. I've been involved in football now for probably 35, 40 years on the admin side of things, and I am still learning.
Finally, one thing I've taken away from visiting here today is just how important the distinction between having Marine in the community and then Marine AFC, the football club, and how when those two work in synergy, it helps not only the whole organisation, but the local community around the football club as well. For any NLS clubs who've perhaps been toying with the idea, because I think a lot do, they want to be that community provision, but they don't quite know where to start. Where should they start?
You start with the governance and it's important to keep the two independent of each other. So where you would have Marine FC would be an incorporated body in some shape or form. Marine in the Community is a registered charity. Having the registered charity number as a charitable incorporated organisation is the key to unlocking funding beyond sport. Many football clubs will purely look at sport for their resources. Here at Marine and other clubs that I work with, we look far beyond sport and attract grant supports for health, education, well-being, loneliness, isolation. There's a whole gambit of funding and resources out there that actually work well within a sport environment.
Oh, Steve, thank you so much. The full-time whistle was blown on the game here, and that's probably time for us to draw an end to our conversation as well. But besides the community cafe, besides the fantastic 3G pitch and other areas around the football club, there is also a really fantastic bar and restaurant. So let's go and check that out next.
So we've come inside now into 1894, the bar and bistro here at Marine Football Club, and I'm joined by Colin Mitchell, who I'm told is a legend of a volunteer at this football club. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your role and what you do?
Allegedly. Well, I was commandeered one Saturday afternoon. I was just coming to watch a football match and I heard this voice say Mitch, and the next thing I looked up and it was Graeme. And ever since then, my life's gone. I thought I was retired.
You love it though, right?
I enjoy helping people, and this is a very good cause. Yeah. They're doing great work for the community, and we've got an excellent leader.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke with Graeme, we've heard a lot about Graeme, but Graeme had some high praise for yourself. So obviously when Graeme came into the club, he was thinking, how am I going to make this work and how am I going to make this happen? And that's that Saturday afternoon when he saw you. Mm-hmm. And you being so well known around these parts from your cricket days, knew a lot of the local community and went out there and helped build relationships to the point where Graeme said you're like a big brother and like a mentor to him. How does that make you feel?
Embarrassed. However, I played cricket, table tennis rather, just over there, and once Graeme told me his ideas. I got hold of a few local dignitaries from inside the table tennis club, and we met in a cafe over the road there, and Graeme just outlined his plans and everything's grown from those early meetings.
And you're one of how many volunteers that help out at this club, would you say?
Oh, I couldn't tell you how many, possibly 20 when we think overall. And really, the core of them, the ladies, they do a magnificent job. And they do it because they want to do it. They're not made to do it, they want to do it. They love coming here, they love the community atmosphere, especially the Welcome Cafe. But a lot of them are members actually of the table tennis club. And from there, the table tennis club has grown. And so the Welcome Cafe grew through the volunteers, and they're involved now in the walking groups, the Welcome Cafe. They get involved with Zumba and yoga, and it's a great outlet for everybody.
It really is all-encompassing for the community as a whole. Football obviously started at the heart of it,
Yes.
But through yourself, diving in on them dignitaries and asking them to come and give hand, and Graeme laying out his plans of seeing this club obviously thrive both on and off the pitch.
Yeah.
If there was one piece of advice you was to give to any club that's listening around engaging more volunteers or diversifying that workforce, what would it be?
It would be to embrace those very people that are the foundation of society.
Wonderful. CJ, thanks ever so much for joining us.
Pleasure to meet you, Tom.
We're going to stay here and enjoy some food, maybe have
Very
a beer
good.
and see what it's like.
Well, I'll be driving, but you enjoy the food and you enjoy a pint.
I will do.
Lovely to meet you.
Cheers, CJ.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap here at Marine AFC. What a fantastic welcome we've had here. We all love watching the game on the pitch, but today was all about looking at what takes place off the pitch, and for those learnings that you can take back to your club to make sure that your club serves its community and... Was that too loud? Today was all about seeing how clubs can win off the pitch, and I'm sure there's lots of insight in there for you to take away and implement back at your club.
Plenty of insight, plenty of inspiration as well. Like Tom said, this has been about learning about how we can best perform off of the pitch, with so much fantastic advice around how to build a community, improve your identity, and much, much more alongside that. This is episode 1 of our Extra Time lens on the NLS. Make sure that you join us next time.